This is Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again by warrior, exciting fighter, thriller minute, Sam Eggington. Sam, how you doing?
I'm all right, pal. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm tired, but I'm okay.
I assume that means you're training hard, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, non-stop training, non-stop. So it's always happening, man.
Good
We didn't have a lot of news. We've been training for a while now, so
it's 25th of June. Back out Coventry Sky Dome again, 3 in a row in Coventry Sky Dome. Different promoter, different broadcaster, but the same venue. And back down what for most people would consider your best weight, 154, super welterweight. Just tell us why you went up to middle for a couple of fights, and now obviously you come back.
More than anything, it was just the opportunity. We tried to get Molina at 154. It was him at the time. It was him that wanted the 160 tag with, and I presume he's got some sort of connection with your man from the WBC because he picked up the title quite easily. So he said, "Look, we want it at 160, and we got a title there." So we just kind of agreed because of the opportunity at the time. It was the WBC silver. I wasn't going to say no. So yeah, we just went up there. I mean, it was fun at the time. Like, you're making weight and it's comfortable, but you do realise that, it's not your weight. But it was fun while it lasted.
How much did the Jiu-Jitsu fight convince you that it might not have been your weight? Because although you won the fight, it was a tough, grueling contest.
Do you know what? The Jiu-Jitsu fight weren't really the fight in general. It's just the way you make weight. I was just making weight too easy. The Jiu-Jitsu fight was always going to be a good fight, whether we made 154 or we made 160. And I think both was coming well under 160 anyway, if I remember right. So it weren't for that. It weren't that fight in general. I think we always knew that if we wanted to do anything serious, we'd have to come back down a weight. Because the big boys at middleweight are big. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think we always knew that it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. And for a few fights, middleweight just had the opportunity there. We could defend the title. We picked up the title. We could defend the title. And more than likely, if this fight didn't come up, we probably would have been defending the title again. But it come up, so we'll take all the opportunities as they come.
Given how bruising the Jiu-Jitsu fight was, incredibly entertaining as well, fight of the year. Are you grateful in a sense that you've got 9 months between fights this time? Fighters like to be active, but that looked particularly hard.
Do you know what? So I wanted to get out in December, I did. So last December, I wanted to fight, I did. I mean, I didn't want a big fight. I just wanted something to take, because you know what it is, yeah? As much as... Sorry, I lost it. Yeah, so as much as I enjoy the fighting and, I enjoy the training to a point, I'm enjoying it more lately than I ever have, but I need a reason to be in the gym. Do you know what I mean? I travel quite a while. I travel 50 minutes to the gym and back, and to do that twice a day with no fight date set. It's hard, so I'm just running on my own or I'm hitting the bag in the garden. It's not the same. So I always want to be active. Like, I mean, if you look at my record, you'll see, the 4s and the 6 rounds on there just because, I enjoy, having to make weight, but I need a reason to make weight. I enjoy the fighting. I enjoy being in the gym. So I was trying to stay as active as possible. Like I say, I wanted a 6 round in December, and I definitely wanted to be out before now. But it is what it is. We're in a.
What can you tell us about your opponent on the 25th of June, Przemysław Zisk?
Honestly, pal, yeah, I couldn't tell you a thing. I couldn't even tell you his name. He couldn't tell me. Just.
I had to Google how to pronounce it. To be fair,
I don't watch him. I don't look at him. I don't know who he's for. I know his record. I know he's 118 out of 18. But by that, I couldn't tell you how tall he is. I couldn't tell you what he does well. I just know that I leave it down to the coaches, and they're gearing me up for something, and I'm taking it all in, and hopefully on the night I'll be able to execute it.
It's for the IBO title at Super Welter. What do you make of that as a belt, compared to the 4 major recognised governing bodies?
Listen, to me, Pat, I'll parade that across, on an open top bus. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a world title for me. It's picking up a lot of momentum at the moment as well. In Britain, I mean, a lot of lads are picking them up. But again, I understand it's probably it's probably the most least recognised. But again, to me, pal, it's got world title written on the front of it, and I'll take that.
And how do you feel about the change in, promoter, in a sense? I know you're still with Mick Hennessy, but he's got you onto a boxer show. And also being on Sky Sports now, back on Sky Sports in your case, rather than Channel 5.
Honestly, pal, I tell everybody, it's great. Channel 5 was great. People that don't normally watch me box. But, Sky Sports is a place, for boxing. If anyone's... people literally subscribe to Sky Sports for the boxing. So I think if you want to make a name for yourself, you got to be boxing on Sky or a platform as such as that. But in all honesty, pal, as for the fight and where it is and what channel, I do it in my back garden. As long as I'm paid, and that's the truth. You ask anyone in the gym, the coaches, anyone that asks. As long as the outcome's income, I'm quite happy.
I like that. As long as the outcome's income. I haven't heard that before. I think I'm going to steal it, if you don't mind.
I stole it. I don't know where it's from, but I heard it somewhere and I enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm going to be taking it. You obviously have fought at the top domestic level. Some of the guys you've competed with, Ted Cheeseman, it looks like he might be walking away from the sport. I think the rumour is Troy Williamson's maybe thinking about moving up to middleweight now. It just seems like you're on a good run. You're now, again, one of the very top super welterweights in the country. Where do you go? What's your plan for the future, assuming all goes well on the 25th of June?
Yeah, again, it's stupid to say, really. I know it sounds crazy, but I've never really had a plan, as mad as it seems. I've always took opportunities. And I think that's what's got me to where I am. I kind of take the opportunities as and when they come, and that's what's got me. I mean, I lost to that McQueen.
Yeah, I remember.
I lost to him, and shit looked bad. Do you know what I mean? I done a 4-rounder, I think, or 6-rounder, and then I was in Italy. I took that opportunity, and I picked up a decent battle over there against a good kid who had only lost twice against decent opposition himself. And then I come back at a few, and then, the Ted Cheeseman fight happened, and I thought I won, but I come up short from in the judge's eyes. And again, shit looked like it was going downhill. Had a couple of little fights, and it turns out now, I'm on a good streak. So I just think you got to have the mentality of, the last fight, the last fight don't mean as much. I don't know how to explain what I'm saying, but you've got to look past the last fight. You got to look for your whole career and think. And the people around you will tell you, if you're going downhill and, so on and so forth. But I think you got to have good people around you to tell you, if it is going bad, they'll sit down and talk to you and say, look, Sam, it's not going well. I don't think it's going to get any better. And I think I've got people around me that will tell me that. But they ain't. So, I'm taking my opportunities and I'm proving people wrong. Like I say, people think a lot of time people have thought, it's time for Sam to pack it in. He's going nowhere. And the next thing I'm on a good streak. And I've done that 2 or 3 times. So I think what I'm trying to say is, if you've got the right people around you that will tell you the truth, follow your gut. I've always thought that I've got another one. I definitely could do something. And I've always said that to the people around me, and they've kind of agreed. And I think if they didn't agree, I think they would definitely say, look, Sam, you're pushing it. It's not, you need to pack it in. And I think they would tell me that. And as soon as someone does tell me that, I would pack it in, because I know what this sport can do. So yeah, I just think you gotta trust your gut, and trust people around you as much as anything.
And do you feel you get the credit you deserve, not for being a crowd pleaser and an exciting fighter, because everyone respects you in that regard, but just for being a really good quality fighter, because you've won the European title, a couple of weights,
Yeah.
British title. You've done really well, but you don't often get talked about in that same bracket as some others who have.
Again, each to their own. I'm not here for, front page news. I don't mind if I'm on the front of the boxing news or I'm not. Do you know what I mean? I'm not here for that. As bad as it sounds, as like I said, as long as the outcome's income. As long as everyone's fed under my roof, I enjoy what I do, so I'll do it for as long as I can. But as for accolades and things like that, they're great. Don't get me wrong, but it's not something I'm chasing. If people think I'm a great boxer, then that's great. Tell me. I'll give you a shout. But if not, then it's up to you as well. It's like water off a duck's back, pal. Honestly, you ask people around me again. Ask John. People say stuff. It generally never bothers me, pal. You'd have to go really deep to bother me with stuff like that.
So if you were offered 2 fights, one for a world title for decent money and one not for a world title, but would set you up for life, like your family, you wouldn't have to work again, that kind of thing, what would you choose?
No question. No question. I started the boxing for money. Do you know what I mean? I started as an away fighter, and it was literally to pay the bills. And although the bills have got bigger, it's still the same goal. Do you know what I mean? It's still the same goal, and I love boxing. I love picking up titles and so on and so forth. But titles don't pay the mortgage. If I can get a fight that will set me up for life and win me a title, great. But this is not just for me. Do you know what I mean? So if I can set the kids up and my missus with with a house and stuff like that, then it's no question. No question.
Do you keep your eye about the scene at your weight and think who's coming up, who could be those big money fights for you going forward?
I do keep like I say, I don't watch too much boxing, but I do watch my own weight category. I do keep an eye out for, whether that be at the top or beneath me, I suppose if you want to say that. But yeah, I do keep an eye out. I know Charlo's just won them all, and I presume he'll move up a weight and they'll all get scattered about. So fingers crossed, like I say, all goes well on the 25th. I'm pushing for one of them as well, but again, just have to wait and see how it goes.
We saw, I think it was last week, James Metcalf go over to Spain and win the not the European because he's vacated it, a WBA inter strap or continental strap against Kerman Leharaga. Is that a fight that would interest you at all? He's got obviously a ranking belt.
What? I'm going to say no straight away because I've done a lot of sparring for that camp. We was up there, week in, week out. He was down with us. I was just buzzing for Jay and the team in general, to go over to Spain and do what they've done, is huge. So I'm going to say no. It's not a fight that, that would particularly interest me at all, really. I mean, I like Jay, I like the team. I think the feelings are mutual. So I don't think so. It's not someone I'd go looking for at all.
And out of the defeats on your record, is there anyone on there that you'd like to avenge?
Again, I always look forward, Pat. I don't really like to think, I'd love to go back there and have a fight in, but not really. I mean, I believe that I won the Cheeseman fight. I generally do.
And 2 of your defeats were in like prize fighters as well, so I think you can kind of wipe those out.
Yeah, get rid of them. Get rid of them. I think that Bradley Skeet loss, I was just probably a bit too young and naive. I generally thought I'd turn up and it'd just end up,
you can't avenge that one anyway because he's retired. So
yeah. But I think the Cheeseman fight, I thought I won. I generally do. Nothing against Cheeseman. I just think I did. The African kid, there was things happening in the background that maybe I shouldn't have fought, but like I say, I'm greedy man. So I tried to get that dough in, but nothing really nothing really, itches at me. Oh, I'd love to get that one back. So not really, but again, I take all comers. If ever, I got offered a fight with someone I did lose against, I'd definitely take that fight again and try and grab that one back. But nothing that I would go looking for and say, oh, I really want that one or anything like that.
What do you make of how Liam Smith's got on since your fight? By all accounts, he was robbed against Kurbanov. He's now beaten Jesse Vargas in great fashion recently as well.
Yeah. Again, I saw Liam Smith up there the other day. I was training with JJ, and yeah, he looked great. And from what I've heard, I won't say rolled the years back because he's always looked good, but he was meant to have done a real dominant job. Yeah, like I say, he comes from strength to strength. Do you know what he's about, Liam Smith? I say to people now, look, I'll watch him on the TV, and even now, I think I'd beat him. But it's not until you're in there and you're against him, that he just does things so cute, that people won't see. People don't see things like that on the TV. Everything's for a reason. He's so clever about it. It's unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was going to go any other way. I thought he would go over there and do a job on Jesse Vargas. I didn't think he'd do it so comfortably, but yeah, I always thought he would go over there and do a job.
Does it give you a level of satisfaction when someone you fought goes off and really proves himself, particularly if they've beaten you, because it makes you look a little bit better as a consequence?
Yeah, I'm not bitter. Anyone that's beaten me, I always want to go and do well. Not only that, but it makes me look, make me look too bad then, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm never bitter. Yeah, I want everyone to do well. Do you know what I mean? I mean, as long as I'm not fighting, I hope everyone gets what they deserve.
And you talked earlier about how you just, you love the fighting, you love the training to an extent. I know you said, and as long as it's bringing the money in. Have you thought at all about what you'll do when it is time to pack it in? Because you're only 28, obviously, but at some point you will have to walk away.
Yeah, I've been here a long time, but I haven't. Like, I think as soon as you start looking out the game, that's when you probably should just leave anyway. And at the moment, I've got no desire to look at it and think, oh, maybe I should do this or maybe I should do that. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm thinking maybe I should stay in the game, because as soon as you start looking for other avenues, you don't want to be here anyway. It's just that simple. I mean, you don't want to be in a place like boxing. It's not a very nice place to be. So yeah, at the moment, I ain't thought nothing about that, but give me a couple of years and I'm gonna start thinking.
How old are your kids now?
I got a son who's 11 on the 24th of June. I got an 8-year-old and I got a 2-year-old.
And what do I guess the 2-year-old's not overly aware yet, but what do the 11-year-old and the 8-year-old make of what you do to bring the money in?
It's, again, they've knew nothing else, so it's just about the norm, really. They don't watch. They're not into it all that much, really. They know that I box. They watch a few reruns every now and then, but nothing major. Again, like I say, they're 10 and 8, so I don't think they realise what I'm doing, really. When it's not until you're grown up and you think about what people are putting themselves through to do what I do that I think they'll realise. But at the moment, it's just like I say, war off looks back. They've knew nothing else since they were born. So I don't think I think if I quit now and got a delivery job, I think they'd be more shocked then than what I do now, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's none of them are into the boxing all that much. So yeah.
Do you ever go into a fight, and it's probably a stupid question, but I have to ask, and think to yourself, do you know what? Just this once, I'm going to get on the jab, I'm going to get on my toes, I'm going to make it easy.
I don't know how many fights I've had. 38. I fought that every single time. Every single time I fought that, pal. I'm not even joking. But it just, I keep saying it, you revert back to what you know, don't you? And I mean, I can get on the jab and I do try, but as soon as you get into a fight, it's hard to go back to the boxing. Whereas if you're boxing, you know, you can turn it into a fight. But for me, if I'm boxing, I can stay on the jab for a few rounds. But once it turns into a tear-up, it's very hard for me to revert back to the boxing. If that makes sense. Whereas if I'm boxing, I can revert back to what I know and have an all-out war quite easily. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to be able to box and move past. I promise you, it's just not me.
Well, the ability's there. It's just like you say. Once you get involved, you can't pull yourself out of it.
Yeah. Again, I went away from my first fight, you know, on the road. I was meant to lose that. It wasn't until the kid hit me that I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get you for that, and that's where it went. So kind of snowballed.
Do you never like look at yourself in the mirror and think, I'm 5'11", I'm quite rangy. I should be boxing a different way here.
Man, I've been told that since I was an amateur. Get on the jab. People don't really like. I mean, apart from boxing people, you know, the fighting's easy. You know, the boxing's a hard bit. Do you know what I mean? The boxing really takes it out of you. You know, staying on the jab. You know, being fully concentrated for 12 rounds. That's the sort of stuff that, you know, you really have to work at the fighting. You know, although it looks grueling, you know, I mean, everyone could do it. Do you know what I mean? So it's just how much you got in you, I suppose. But yeah, I've been told that from a young age, mate. You know, you talk. I've been taught since I was a kid. You know, for my age group. You know, stay on the jab, and even as an 11-year-old kid, it's just never been that way.
Is it at a point now where in training camps and stuff, you just work on the things that you already know you're good at mostly, and try and get them as best as they can be?
Do you know what? I think John Pegg's always said to me, yeah, it's nice to work on stuff, but you're good at this, so let's just better it. Let's just work on that. Do you know, I have Louis Cunahan and Soggy, Paul Cunahan for the pads, and they work on, you know, the nice stuff. And I have John, you know, does me some grueling bag sessions where we work on the stuff that we know that I do well. So I have a nice balance. But yeah, I always think, you know, I'll work on me. I mean, I know what I do well. So yeah, I work on what I do well and go with that, I think.
And you said you're not even looking at the game yet. Where do you see yourself in, say, a year's time if you win at the weekend?
Again, it's hard to say. I think I want to sit around and wait for Charlo to move up and see if he scatters a few ballots around for us to all pick up. I don't know, pal. I mean, you know, after this one, you know, with the time out, you know, depending on how grueling this fight is, I think I'd wanna defend it before the end of the year, and then, you know, and then sit tight and see what happens. But definitely a defense before the end of the year.
Good stuff. Well, mate, really appreciate your time. Hope it all goes well on the 25th, and I'm sure it'll be good to watch regardless of what happens. But yeah, best of luck.
No problem, I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, anytime, mate. You take care, and yeah, speak to you soon.